powerful closes. Okay, let's talk about some powerful closes and some ideas surrounding closing for the appointment or closing for the contract. Look at our cute pictures. These are from when we were in Florida, and they're kind of the wrong lighting, but we thought that they were going to be cute.
A little fuzzy.
They're a
Anyways.
little fuzzy. We won't be using these in advertising, is what I'm saying. So closing is a natural ending to a good presentation. I believe that when you have a stellar presentation, it's just easy to ask for the contract to be signed.
Okay, in selling and in closing, the only no that counts is the last one before you quit. Guys, most of the time when you get an objection during a presentation, it's the best possible thing that you could get, because what they're saying is, I want to say yes, I need more information. A no is a delay during a presentation, and it's an ask for additional information. So please consider that when we fold up our tent and leave without getting something signed, they're more upset that we didn't ask them to sign something than if we did ask them to sign something. So an objection is permission to move forward by giving them better information or more information around their question.
Yeah. One of the things that helped me get more no's and to kind of let them just flow through me instead of get stuck with the no is a no means, Rod said this, it's simply an unanswered question. It's a question that remains unanswered, however you want to say that. Getting a no inside of a presentation is actually a positive thing. Always ask, would you sign the contract, please? And smile. Rod has a hard time with this one, don't you? He hates
I always do. I ask it a different way.
Would you sign the contract, please? 6 words. Yeah. So what do you say instead?
How soon can you be ready for photos?
Okay.
That's an easy one. Here's the reality, guys. This is in here because with all of the changes going on in our industry, what I've discovered as I've lost multiple opportunities to list houses over the last 2 weeks, like multiple, it's making me sick. Like I've thrown away $50,000 over the last 2 weeks, and here's why. I didn't close strong enough and I left without the contract signed, which allowed them to interview another agent who was willing to do it for cheaper, who was willing to do it for less. And they hired them and I missed the opportunity. So close. It's something that I'm absolutely focused on moving forward. I'm going to do everything I can to get a contract signed before I walk out. It used to be okay, but it's not anymore.
Yeah. There's a reason why we're talking about closing skills. It has nothing to do with you guys. It's everything to do with Rod. No, I'm just kidding.
It is. Yeah, I've screwed up a lot of deals. That's a lot of money.
So you need to just figure out in your personality. If signing the agreement is not getting you the contract, try contract. Right? Like test it and see which one actually works for you, because you might be surprised. Would you sign the contract, please? Actually might work better for you.
I'm a Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar trained guy myself, so I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Rod and I always have the battle on this one because I'm the contract signer.
All right. When you ask a question asking for a confirmation of moving forward, don't speak until they do. The best thing you can do is allow the silence to do the heavy lifting for you. And when we step in and soften that energy, it's almost like whoever talks first loses. So allow the silence to do your heavy lifting. Sometimes they just need a minute to process what you just asked them. Is this the right thing? Oh my gosh, this is scary. All of those things, but wait for them to speak, because in most cases that silence will kind of force the issue.
Yeah. Yep. That's powerful. I always think if I lose that battle and I start talking first, I think of shoe in mouth every time. So if you follow the listing presentation and you're sitting in front of a pre-qualified and motivated seller, the close is really simple. When you haven't pre-qualified them and you don't know their motivation, the close is very difficult. So really, in my perspective, that pre-qualification script, whether it's a buyer or a seller, is almost more important than the listing presentation, because if you're sitting in front of people who are not ready to sign a contract right now, this is how I look at it. I'm not going to go in front of them unless unless I have an 80% chance of having them sign that contract. If I don't have that 80% chance of them signing the contract, I have some more pre-qualification things to do. Whether it is, so Rod, this weekend or last weekend, he set an appointment. It was for Sunday. They reached out and they said, oh, we're going to have windows installed next week. I think it would be better if we waited until the next week, till the next Saturday, which is actually a better day for us. But anyway, he postponed that because they were not going to sign the contract if we had gone out earlier. So you want to make sure that they're in the mindset of signing the contract.
One thing I want to say really quick is, as I've been prospecting, what causes you to go to an appointment where you haven't done the pre-qualification script and you don't know if the seller's super motivated? It's the amount of difficulty we have in setting the appointment in the first place is the reason that we don't go through and pre-qualify them, because we're scared that we might find out that we're going to lose our appointment, and it's taken me so long to get this appointment to begin with. Does anybody else run into that besides me? Is that in the back of your head? It is in mine, I can tell you. And what I've also noticed is that I've had to expand the area that I'm prospecting in, right? How did I get a listing in Hooper? I expanded the area I was prospecting in with expireds and went further than I normally would. Because of that, it's even more important to pre-qualify, because we'll find ourselves sometimes driving 45 minutes to an hour one way to go to an appointment. And if we go and we don't have an opportunity to actually list that, it blows the rest of the day out of the water. You can't go knock doors in your farm. You can't go to an apartment complex. You can't make phone calls when you're driving. So it really does mess up your day. So please work on that pre-qualification script. Make sure that when you go on an appointment, it's pre-qualified. We're going to touch on this really quick before we get done today on going on a preview appointment versus a listing appointment with a for sale by owner. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to put this thought in your mind. If you're spending time on an unqualified listing appointment or spending your time searching for one that is, how is your time more usefully spent? Like, I would much rather be finding somebody who's ready, in my opinion. It's like, why would you mow your grass? I would rather be prospecting for new business. Or live in a place where I don't have to do it.
All right. Always assume that they're going to sign the contract at the end of your presentation. You can make this assumption by following your scripts, by nodding and smiling, staying on track, and asking a lot of questions. The most important thing here that I can say is, when you are confident and you know your presentation really well, it's easy to show up and assume they're going to close at the end, because they can't really knock you off track. Patrick actually asked me this, because I've always said this, right? You guys will hear me say this a million times. When you're learning a script, my words will never fit the same in your mouth as they do in mine. Your personality is different. The way you deliver things is different. However, in order to get to that point, you have to memorize it word for word to begin with, so that when somebody asks you a question or tries to take you off track, or it's something that's not in the script, you're able to go back and kind of follow it along. And the more you learn it, the easier it is to start to shift it into your voice. I have been writing now Jeff's scripts for sell by owners and expireds for 59 days, right? Every morning I'll sit down and write a script. My script is a little bit different, but I found that as I had deviated from my verbatim script, there were a couple of critical questions that I forgot to ask almost 100% of the time. And now I'm doing that. So anyways, just learn it word for word, and then you'll be able to develop it into your own. And the more confidence you have showing up, the easier the presentation is to deliver.
Yep, exactly. I wanted to say something here that I learned early on, and it's the staying on track. You definitely want to make sure that you're okay with saying, I'm going to only be there for 30 to 40 minutes or 45 minutes, and then be there 30 to 45 minutes. Don't be there for an hour. Don't be there for 2 hours. And Oh my gosh, please don't be there for 3, because every minute that you spend in front of them after your presentation or when your presentation gets off track is another minute that they're going to say, I'm not going to sign. If you can't stay on track on your business presentation, how are you going to stay on track with your marketing plan? How are
By
you
the
going
way,
to,
bring the script with you,
yeah,
bring the outline with you, have it in front of you so that if you do get off track, you can just look down.
yeah.
They're okay if you have notes. They expect you to have notes. Totally okay.
Well, yeah, you better have notes about their house, right? A great appointment is when the prospect needs the services that you have to offer and they can see that the service will help them achieve their goals. This makes the close quite simple. Yeah, never forget that you can't convince somebody, you can't give them motivation to make the move. Rod always thinks that you can if you ask the right questions. So he has a little bit different take, but my perspective is that I don't have the time to waste on people who don't need my services. So I have to uncover the motivation enough through the pre-qualification questions to verify to me that they absolutely do need my service. It just makes the close a lot easier.
You want to play a fun game? Here's the game I play. Every single person I see has a $10,000 check pinned to their chest. And if I ask the right questions with the right energy, they give me that check. And that's 100% of the people. When you're standing in a grocery line, look at that person in front of you. They got a $10,000 check in their pocket and they will give it to you. They want to live somewhere besides where they live. They want something different about their house. They want something different. And you have the ability to ask the right questions and deliver them in the right way, and they will hand you that check. It's kind of a fun project. Every time you go to lunch, every time you go to dinner, that waiter or waitress standing there with a $10,000 check. Being a good closer is more about attitude, enthusiasm, confidence, and belief than it is about using strong words to intimidate the prospect. If you have to use strong words to intimidate a prospect into closing with you, you need to up your skill set, right? This should be a very comfortable conversation. People sign with you because they like you and trust you. You earn that by showing up with the right attitude, enthusiasm, confidence, and belief.
It's a Betsy thing, right?
She's got amazing enthusiasm. I want
Yeah,
to.
I'd sign with you.
I love that. Are we ready to do this? Let's do
Yeah,
this. I love it.
that's a better close than mine.
Way better than mine. Anyway,
Don't be afraid to be direct when asking for the order. You don't have to be hard, difficult, or combative. A lot of times I've listened to other agents be very combative at the end or to call the client wrong for not signing with them. Answering those objections should not be difficult. It's if they have an objection, it's just a question. Just simply answer it and then close them again.
all right. Don't be afraid to smile and use humor to break up the tension that takes place in a closing situation. Humor is magic in selling situations. If you can get them to laugh or to smile with you, it's almost an automatic yes.
Yeah.
If you go with me on presentations, you're going to hear the same jokes at the same point in my presentation 100% of the time because they land right and it makes people smile and laugh. And when they do that, usually they're ready to sign. They're ready to go with you.
And that's why I don't attend presentations with him anymore because the jokes are really old to me. He needs to up the jokes.
Yeah, I probably
I'm
had him.
kidding.
Yep.
Be sure to close a minimum of 5 times since 80% of all sales take place after the 5th close. Inside of your presentation are a couple of trial closes, but when you get to the end, if they give you an objection, just expect that they need to be closed a couple more times. I'm finding it's more like 7 rather than 5. Is that about what you're thinking?
Sometimes this goes back to that one of those first slides where we said a no is simply a request for more information. If you're not getting objections and they're despondent, your chances of closing are almost zero. So them asking questions and questioning a few things or putting some objections in front of you, those are rungs to the ladder that you need to take in order to get to the close. So that what this really means is if you're not getting a little bit of pushback, it's going to be really hard to close them at the end. Like this is, I get energized when somebody says, what's your commission? Because you know what they're asking? They're saying, I'm ready to hire you. I just have this one more question that I need to get answered.
Yeah.
Right?
You need to explain it to me a little bit better,
Yeah.
right?
They wouldn't be asking if they weren't a yes already.
Yeah, that pre-qualification script, and I know I keep going back to it, but it is my favorite script, as y'all know. When you're going through that pre-qualification script, you'll find out that what their objections are going to be. So you can answer those objections during the appointment and know that that's something that's top of their mind without them having to wait till the end of the presentation for you to take care of it.
You have to believe in your value as a salesperson to get the customer to believe in your value as a salesperson. As the value to the customer increases, the close becomes easier. You hear me say this as well. If you don't believe 100% that you are the best agent that they could possibly hire, as a fiduciary, you should refer them to somebody else. You are the best agent. You have the solutions, you can help them. And if you don't believe that, you probably shouldn't be there. So, how do we develop that confidence? How do we develop that swagger without it being arrogance? It's just confidence. We develop it by knowing our objection handlers, by understanding our scripting and dialogue, by expecting to have a couple of objections and no's towards the end that we know how to resolve 4 or 5 different ways so that we can keep them moving forward. That's where it's going to come in from. Sorry,
Yeah.
dog found a treat.
So, okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Say somebody does not believe in their value as a salesperson. Are there things that they can specifically do to get that confidence?
Oh, so it all goes back to the basics. It's show up for those role plays. Practice on your peers. We hear these objections so often that we're actually the best person to role play with. The people that we're presenting to, they haven't been through our trainings, they haven't been through all this stuff, so they don't even know what questions to ask. So when they ask one, in most cases, a simple objection handler will resolve it. But here's the deal. Guys, we've done this for you. Melody has put together systems and step-by-step ways to help market their property, to help get them from contract to close, to help get their properties in front of people in the right light. You already have everything that you need behind you. All you have to do is go out and convince them to sign the paperwork. We've got your back, is
Yeah.
basically what I'm saying.
The
We have
product
the
is
system,
there.
we have the models.
Yeah. The product is there. You don't have to stress out about, bringing them back and having not a clue of what to do. That product is already there for you. So then it is really getting the rapport, and that is a really easy thing for every one of you on this call to do, because that's why you're here. You're natural at it.
You're friendly. Yep.
Yeah, you're friendly. People like you. They expect you to close to get a buyer to buy their house. So therefore, they would expect for you to close them the same way. This is a really important point, you guys. As you are going through the presentation, they are watching you for your skill set. They are watching for you. They're watching you to see how you react and how many times you close and how smooth that process is for them. Because they're thinking, are they able to actually work with the buyer, or are they just going to put it on the MLS and pray that it sells?
Wait. Yep. Sit back and wait.
So yeah, so just know that every time you close them from the very first call, whether it's expired for sale by owner or an SOI, close them there, treat them like a professional, do the pre-qualification script, close them again, and then close them several times at the listing presentation, because they expect that they are hiring a salesperson. They can't do this. This is something that they can't do on their own.
One of my
They think they
final,
can.
yeah, when we're at a presentation and I've tried it a few times and I still can't get them, and you want to try one more time beyond what's comfortable, you'll see that here in a second. One of my favorites is, guys, as a salesperson, would you want me to give up on a buyer that was this close to being able to buy your house? Would you want me to quit when you're this close to signing the paperwork to hire me? you did want to hire a salesperson, right? A good salesperson. So that's one of those, one-liners that you can use to ask permission to sign one more time.
Yep. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you just one more time.
Yep.
Sign the contract, please.
Okay,
Oh,
ask one more time than what you're comfortable with. There's a couple of things that this is going to do for you guys. In real estate, it's going to get you a lot more transactions. How much money do you make on the deals you almost close?
I don't know. You lost $50,000, you said.
Yeah. On the deals you almost close, you make nothing. What about how much money do you make on the deals that you just I mean, it was close, but you finally got the signature. The difference between those two in real life is a hair's width, but in your pocketbook, it's all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I don't like that number. Remember, you have to believe in yourself and your own value if you expect to get paid on a regular basis. To me, this means take care of yourself. Take care of your, self-health, your mental state. Make sure that you are, eating right, have the right energy, doing all of those things. I can tell you, so this is probably a sad thing for me to tell you, but Rod was going through a stage a year, 2 years ago where he's like frumpy. Is that a good way to put it?
That's fair. Yep,
Okay.
that's fair.
Fluffy,
Fluffy, chippy.
fluffy, frumpy, whatever. Maybe it was 3 years ago. And for some reason, he decided it was before you turned that big number.
Yeah.
So, he was just getting flippy. And as that birthday was approaching, he's like, I'm going to take the bull by the horns. I'm going to make some changes in my personal life. I'm going to, make some changes in my physical life. And he did. And people noticed. He noticed that it was a lot easier for him to close because walking into that presentation, his shoulders are back. He's just feeling a lot more confident. So I just wanted to acknowledge you, Rod, because you didn't do that for a reason, for that reason, but it was something that happened because you did do that.
You don't have to be brief it, right? Like you don't have to be, yes, you don't have to be, super crazy fit, but the better you feel about yourself, the more effective you're going to be as a salesperson. So
And
think about ways that you can improve how you feel and not, if you notice that
it
being
could
in
be
the
getting
social media
sleep.
what's that?
It could be getting sleep, like
It
getting
could be
more
sleep.
sleep. It could be, maintaining a routine. It could be, something that just helps you feel better about yourself. It could be going shopping,
If you're doing
you
things that
know?
making you kind of feel a little blah, Melody stops me all the time. I'm a news junkie, right? I watch the news, I read the news, I pay attention to all kinds of stuff. And for Melody, it really gets her in a bad way, in a bad mood
So
or
bad.
uncomfortable. So I've learned don't talk to Melody about what's going on in the news, because it brings her down. And there's things that bring me down as well, and I'm sure she's aware of them. And a lot of it has to do with how I eat. And so she
That's
knows
why I bring that up.
prepare healthy
It's the
meals
home
or
run.
different things because it makes me feel. So be aware, be self-aware, know what brings you down or what lifts you up, and do more things that make you feel good.
And this is a conversation for another day, but remember integrity, your level of integrity is in direct correlation with your level of success. So if you are doing something that is not in integrity, and that's why I threw that comment in Slack about the mastermind groups, because it was bringing me down. Do some corrections to correct your level of integrity. And there is a whole process that we have to help you get a higher level of integrity. So we'll go through that in the wintertime, but and there are little things like balancing your checkbook.
You notice when you're in trainings with Melody and she's blunt, she's blunt, right? A lot of that is to help her to stay in integrity. I watched Melody get down when she's trying to deliver onboarding and training and all this kind of stuff at a high level for you guys. I watch her beat herself up when she's not delivering it at the level that she feels she should. So just know that it's important for us as well to be there for you guys and to make sure that we're showing you how to show up anyways, as best we can. Doesn't mean we deliver perfectly, but we're definitely trying. So
Yep. And you don't have to do everything we say.
this is one of my favorites, guys. Years ago, I served a mission in Spain, and I remember I got done with I was in a final interview with my mission president, and we had kind of butted heads the last week. It's a story for another day. But one of the things that I loved about President Francis was his level of urgency. He said, if you don't feel like life could end tomorrow, and it wasn't quite to that level, but if you don't feel like, look, man, we have a very short period of time on this ball. And we want to make sure that during that time, we're in President Francis's terms, he said, God gave you a gift that you're basically spitting on or throwing away when you're not living every day of the life that he gifted you with to the highest possible level. My dad said it this way. He said, if you're not exhausted when you hit your pillow at night, you didn't do enough during the day. We should leave it on the field. We should, take every moment. I mean, without getting emotional, it is an absolute gift that we're here, right? We won the lottery. So give that gift to God back by showing up how you should show up, by showing up and showing him that you're grateful for what he gave you, right? Anyways, urgency. When asking for the appointment, create additional urgency when asking to get a contract signed. Guys, if you have the ability to set an appointment today, don't set it tomorrow. If you have an appointment to set an ability in an hour, don't set it for later in the afternoon. Make it a priority. Get there sooner. If you get the opportunity to present first, not last. I know people have a different philosophy. Be good enough that you can get them to sign the contract and cancel the other appointments. Do everything in your life with urgency, right? As if this were the last day you had on earth, because it might be.
That's easy for me to think of lately.
Yeah.
So they've invited you to their home for a reason. Your job now is to make a presentation, follow the script, and get a contract signed. This decision is always made as a business decision. So make sure you make a good business presentation. Oh, I've been waiting to talk about this. The listing presentation is not the time to bring up your kids or your vacations. That's, I always want to talk about that. It is not the time for you to bring up anything personal about yourself. This is a time for you to focus on them. It is all about them and their house and their process, not about you trying to get rapport with them. Does that make sense? It is a business decision. Make it a business conversation. So when you are the agent that shows up and you're saying, oh, I like to golf, or I like to go scuba diving, or I like to cruise, whatever it is. Now you've thrown the whole business decision-making process out the door, and it just doesn't work. This is a good time for you to be serious. It's a good time for you to be, just really on point and direct. And I know that I keep saying that because what I see is that, think about it this way. Our life is scroll. How do you get them to stop scrolling for more than 3 minutes nowadays? You only have 3 minutes to present to them before they're off onto the next thing. Their brain is being programmed to think faster. So don't bring personal stuff into this business presentation, and be super fast and to the point and get in and get the contract signed and then leave. Okay, they have plenty of time to figure out all about you on social media before you even show up. I promise they're going to know that you golf, cruise, vacation, whatever. They're going to know.
There is a little mix to that, but to make it very, very little about you and mostly about them. The best conversationalists at the table ask a lot of questions and are curious. They're not the ones that talk about themselves all the time. Be that person that's curious in the presentation. And, if they're in your farm, that's the time when you're building those relationships, talking about all the things you have in common. But when you're at the presentation, that's the time to make it about them and close.